Mary, Queen of Scots, ascended the Scottish throne at just 6 years old and spent her life fighting to retain her royal position. In an era dominated by kings, she ruled Scotland in her own right, was briefly Queen Consort of France, and arguably the rightful ruler of England. Yet of her 44 years, she spent only 12 in Scotland, raised instead in the glittering courts of France to become the Catholic bride of Francis II. After his death, her fortunes shifted dramatically. She fled Protestant insurrection in Scotland, only to be imprisoned in England under her Protestant cousin Elizabeth I. Even her own son, James VI of Scotland, disowned her by peacefully accepting her forced abdication and imprisonment, prioritizing his chance to rule England over his mother's plight. Mary's execution extinguished the last great hope of English Catholics. But what if Mary had escaped? It is May of 1584, and Mary receives a coded letter through her trusted messenger, Anthony Babington. The message of the note is simple. The Spanish ambassador, Don Bernardino de Mendoza, needs her to play sick. This is no problem for Mary, who is in fact quite frail, due to rarely being allowed to walk during her English captivity. She obligingly refuses to leave bed until her captor, the Earl of Shrewsbury, panics and orders her moved to the Buxton Baths. It is a fateful decision. On the way, her carriage is ambushed by a group of highwaymen loyal to the Spanish crown. While a fight continues to distract Shrewsbury, Mary is spirited away to Colwyn Bay, where the São Cristóvão, a small Spanish galleon posing as a British ship, is waiting to whisk her across the sea. It is a harrowing journey, but the São Cristóvão is fast and able to reach Spain before anyone realizes that Mary is aboard. When Mary lands in Spain, she is allowed to spend several days recuperating by the sea. After all, even walking back and forth on the ship has been taxing for her body. But she is exhilarated, thrilled to be free again after all those years trapped. As soon as she is able to move, Queen Mary is escorted to El Escorial, where King Philip II greets her warmly. There, Mary is given her own suite of the castle and treated properly as a queen. Physicians help her regain her strength, and the strong-willed queen takes longer and longer walks every day. There, while Mary is convalescing, King Philip makes her an offer she can't refuse: marriage and a joint campaign to help her regain her rightful place as the Queen of England and Scotland. King Philip II has lost patience with Queen Elizabeth of England. He had once sought Elizabeth's hand in marriage, and she had not only refused him, but had let her privateers attack Spanish ships. Now there are rumors that Queen Elizabeth is planning to support the Protestant anti-Spanish rebels in the Netherlands, and Philip has had enough. Queen Elizabeth I is livid when she discovers her prisoner is gone. She takes the Earl of Shrewsbury's titles and holdings away, and she summons the French and Spanish ambassadors, promising that unless Mary is returned within a week, she will declare war. The Catholic powers are thrilled at the position they have forced the English queen into. Mary cannot believe her luck, that the Spanish king is willing to help her reclaim her titles. She eagerly agrees to Philip's proposal under one condition: that her son James VI of Scotland must remain her heir. Grudgingly, Philip agrees, and the couple are married in splendor in Almudena Cathedral in Madrid, Philip's fifth marriage and Mary's fourth. As Mary walks down the aisle in a white satin dress, her legs strong enough that she requires no attendant to walk with her, the Catholic world rejoices, and in England, rebellion erupts. In theory, Catholicism had been snuffed out in England by Elizabeth's laws forbidding Mass and ordering the gentry to convert. But in practice, many English were still secretly Catholic. Priests, especially Jesuits, routinely smuggled themselves into England and spread the gospel, such as Edmund Campion, who had been posing as a jewel merchant. Catholic carpenters traveled the countryside building priest holes, where families could hide these missionaries if things got dicey. Now these families rise up. In the south of England, Philip Howard, The 13th Earl of Arundel had watched his father executed by Queen Elizabeth for trying to free Mary. Now he decides to take his revenge and leads 3,000 Catholics on a rampage through the Devon countryside, torching Anglican churches and ambushing local English militias. Though Howard is eventually captured and executed, his martyrdom only inflames the insurrection. His wife, the Countess of Arundel, an equally staunch Catholic, continues to wave the banner for Mary, Queen of Scots. Meanwhile, in Scotland, Mary's son James plays a dangerous game. Though nominally Protestant, he maintains correspondence with his mother, urging her to return and pledging loyalty. His troops turn a blind eye to rebel forces crossing the border, further destabilizing Elizabeth's hold on her realm. Philip and Mary swiftly begin putting together an invasion fleet. In May 1586, the Spanish Armada, 141 ships strong and funded with Catholic support from France and the Habsburgs, set sail. The fleet's commander, the Marquis of Santa Cruz, has 20,000 seasoned soldiers under his command, while reinforcements await in the Netherlands under Philip's nephew, the Duke of Parma. Mary insists on traveling with the Armada. Her health is much improved and she tells Philip she does not want to live as an exiled queen. The weather for the voyage is perfect, and as a result, the Armada reaches England by mid-June. The English Navy has faster and more maneuverable ships, but they have not had enough time to prepare their defences. They are set up on the southern coast of England and are able to bombard the Spanish as they approach, but there are simply too many Spanish ships. When they reach the British, their larger ships easily ram into and destroy the smaller British ships, and when they are able to begin boarding enemy galleons, their infantry is infinitely superior. Mary watches the victory from the flagship São Martinho. The British are forced to retreat with heavy losses, while the Spanish have secured the channel. The Armada lands in Kent, and 20,000 Spanish soldiers are deposited onto British soil. Over the following months, tens of thousands of additional troops pour in from the Netherlands. Resistance crumbles under the superior Spanish infantry. Catholics come out of hiding proclaiming it is a miracle and cheering the return of their faith. Protestant mobs try to fight Spanish soldiers and lose all throughout England. Queen Elizabeth attempts to flee but is caught and imprisoned in the Tower of London. Philip and Mary parade through the streets of London in triumph. Elizabeth is executed for heresy, and Mary, now dubbed Bloody Mary by her Protestant enemies, begins her reign with a brutal campaign to restore Catholicism. Thousands of Protestants are burned at the stake, and Anglican strongholds are razed. Queen Mary sends letters to her son, offering him a place at her side. He comes to London and publicly pledges his loyalty, and she eagerly names him her regent in Scotland. However, his position becomes more precarious when the Queen surprises everyone, becoming pregnant at the age of 44. It is a very hard pregnancy, especially on her weakened body. But Mary's will is strong, and she prevails, safely giving birth to a baby boy that she names Matthew, claiming that he is a gift of God for coming to her so late. While he is seen as a divine gift by Catholics, the child symbolizes the solidification of a Catholic dynasty in England, which is unacceptable to the Protestant population. James, realizing he could lose his chance to become the King of England, begins to support a Protestant uprising in northern England and Scotland. He is not willing to let his opportunity for more power slide away. Mary pens letter after letter to James, begging him to stand down, but he never replies. Mary is forced to confront the fact that to James, she was perhaps always a pawn. Before his rebellion has truly got off the ground, his forces are ambushed by the Duke of Parma and he is killed. Mary is heartbroken. She gives him a full royal funeral and breaks down sobbing when she sees his body. Mary never fully recovers her health from giving birth so late in life, or from losing James. By 1589, she is rarely seen in public, delegating many of her duties to Philip, which raises tensions in England even further. In her final year of life, Mary reinstates many Catholic noble families and sends letter after letter to English Protestant leaders, begging them to pursue a path of reconciliation with her surviving son. She dies in 1590, leaving behind a 3-year-old Matthew. Matthew grows up Catholic, but surrounded by Protestant advisors, and will learn to connect the two worlds. His regent, Thomas Egerton, the Viscount of Brackley, trains him in how to be a proper English king. He will be known as Matthew the Just, and his reign will usher in a new age of religious peace in the British Isles. His joint heritage will make such a project possible, and his choice to marry a Protestant German princess will be celebrated. Religious violence cannot be erased overnight, and there will be an Anglican assassination attempt on Matthew in 1605 that is almost successful. But it will not deter him from his vision of a united England. In 1610, he will issue the landmark Edict of Westminster that will declare freedom of religion for all English citizens. Though Mary is not there to see it, his rule is everything she could have hoped for. Matthew could have avoided centuries of sectarian violence that plagued England, Scotland, and Ireland. Without the Protestant-Catholic divide fueling events like the English Civil War or the Troubles in Ireland, the trajectory of British history might have been altered forever. Would a united and harmonious Britain have risen as a global superpower even earlier? Could religious tolerance have spread to its colonies, reshaping the future of empires and the modern world? The possibilities of Matthew's rule remind us that history is often shaped not just by power, but by the choices of individuals to reconcile differences rather than deepen divides. It's a tantalizing glimpse into a world that might have been. Mary, Queen of Scots, could well have been remembered as a prominent English queen, could have protected Catholic rights in England, could have paved a different path. Though she never lived to see her dream of returning to Scotland as the Queen realised, Mary remains a symbol of resilience and ambition in a world that rarely allowed women to rule. What other what-ifs from history would you like to explore? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.